Hello guys, how you all doing? So in today's video I figured I might show you guys how you can set up a Windows Server environment. We'll be doing this instead of a virtual machine. Now I already have one set up here, but the only difference between the base installation and the one that I'll be showing you will be only that I have installed the virtual ball hooks guest editions, so I have full screen scaling. You don't have to do this. I did it because I really wanted to have it in there. So anyway, so you pretty much want to create a new virtual machine, and I'm going to call this Randy server to it so it's easy to distinguish. So Randy server to it, and you want to select Windows 10 64-bit. Click next. In terms of RAM, I'm gonna give it only 2 gigs of RAM. You can get by with, I think, around 2.5 should be enough. But I'm going to give it like 3 gigs, just in case. I think 375 should be enough. And for the disk size, we're gonna give it 50. It's just for the installation portion. Keep it as the VirtualBox disk image. And dynamically allocate it, and give it about the 50 gigs as it gives you. It won't need much storage anyway. You can give it more, just in case I'm gonna give it like 100, but you don't really need to give it that much. Before we start it, you wanna go to settings, and you want to go to system. Move the floppy drive all the way down and untick it. Leave your optical drive in the first position and hard disk in the second position. In terms of CPU, give it at least 2 cores, and I like to set the execution cap to 40%. It's fast enough, don't worry. If it's on Linux, set it to 40. Since this is a Windows server, give it at least a 70% execution cap, just to prevent any slowdowns. Leave everything as is, over here as well. In terms of display, set the video memory all the way to the top. Leave everything as is, and don't bother enabling 3D acceleration. Leave it as is. In terms of storage, you wanna in fact add here another drive. So you wanna select this controller and add another one. Select hard disk. Click create. Select VirtualBox disk image. Dynamically allocate it, and we're going to give it like, let's say a 80 gig, like a 80 gig drive, why not? And boom, that's it. You want to click choose, and now we have 2 drives in here. Then you want to select this empty CD or disk image file, and you want to click this disk, and you want to click choose a disk file. And you want to select your Windows Server installation media. Now I have this downloaded directly from Microsoft. I won't show you how to download this because I don't want to get in trouble, but I have it directly from them, so that's that. I'll click open, it's going to be mounted. We have both our virtual drives in here. Go into audio and disable audio because you won't need it since it's on a server. In terms of network, I would recommend you change this to a bridged adapter if it's an AVM, and select your wireless card if you have one like I, and make sure to allow all and cable connected. Leave everything as this and click OK. So after all of this has been done, you want to start the VM, and of course it's my second monitor, and it's loading up the install. I'll actually move this over here so I know where it is. There we go. Okay, seems like we're going to boot into the media. And this is our Windows Server 2019 installation media. I'm gonna click next and click install now. You can pretty much download this from Microsoft's website, that's all I'm gonna tell you. it's a evaluation copy, so after those days you need to activate it. Since this is not going to take me more than 30 or 60 days, I'm not gonna bother activating this. Since if I plan on using this later on my real server, sometimes I will pay the full price, obviously. So don't go copywriting stuff or pirating stuff, people. So here in the operating system that you want to install, you want to select the Data Server Evaluation Edition and make sure you have the desktop experience, because most of the stuff that we'll be doing today will be through the GUI anyway. So I click next and come on, load up. It will show you this important notice. You want to accept it, make sure to read it all. Obviously I already read it, there are some differences. Then in the installation type you want to select custom. Now I have here 2 drives. I will explain the second one later on in the tutorial, but you want to select your main drive, which in my case is this 100 gig one. Want to click new, click apply, click OK. Pretty much what it's going to do now, it's going to partition our main drive to the OS drive, and we have a 99.5 gig partition. Click next, and it's going to install. Now this process will take some time, so be patient. Alright, it just finished the install, so now we're going to wait until it finishes up the installation of updates and then finishes up. And it should let us reboot, hopefully. So it's installing the updates, shouldn't take that long, I'm hoping. Alright, it just finished. Now it says it should be finishing up. And it says restarting in seconds, so we're going to either wait for that long, or we can click the restart now if you so desire. But I usually like to wait it around, you know, to let it like reboot on its own. Alright, we're going to wait until it like goes past this, and we should be soon enough good to go from here. And there we go, it says to customize our settings. So in here you want to type in a password. You want to make sure that it has an uppercase letter, at least 6 characters, and a bunch of numbers. So I'm going to give it my usual treatment. Not gonna obviously tell you what I'm giving it, because I will be using pretty much a really similar one to this one. And once you do that, you want to click finish. Again, this might take a while, it's finalizing our settings, so that's a good sign, that means it went through. My hard drive is clicking away, what a poor thing. If you're wondering why I titled it Randy Server Tut, it's for the tutorial obviously, but I will title my server in the future Randy, because I think it's a good name for a server. At least in my opinion it is, so... Also, while we're waiting here, I think it's a good time to mention that I'll be making a tutorial video on how you can set up your Windows virtual machine, so you can do all your Windows related tasks on your Linux box, like I am doing. I've been doing this a lot more lately. So yeah, it's really useful and really nice to have something like a Windows virtual machine to, you know, be able to run all your Windows apps without having to worry about compatibility layers and such. It's really easy to set up and it doesn't take that long, and you can get used to it real fast. And if you don't plan on using Linux for anything at all, you can just install a lightweight Linux instance, install VirtualBox, create a Windows VM, and just use the Windows VM on it. It's a lot more secure that way. I should make a video about benefits of using virtual machines soon. Okay, there we go. Seems like we managed to load. At least I hope we did. It normally takes a bit longer to set up everything. So I did not do what I said I will do. You can now remove the virtual drive. You do not need this to be connected to it anymore. It will only slow us down later on. And there we go. Now, since we are in VirtualBox, pressing Ctrl-Alt-Delete will actually lock me out of my system. So I have to go over to Input, Keyboard, and Ctrl-Alt-Delete. Or you can just press Host Delete, but I'm just going to do it this way. So Input, Keyboard, and Ctrl-Alt-Delete. And it should pop up with a login, which it did. You want to type in your password. And there we go. It's now personalizing our settings, so that's a good thing. There we go. Now, one of the benefits of using Windows Server is that compared to regular Windows 10, Windows Server is actually more lightweight than Windows 10 itself, because it's already a minimized version of Windows 10. So if you want a minimized version of Windows 10, you can definitely use Windows Server, but then there's the problem with licensing and such, and it's a pain in the butt to set up. So once it shows up with networks, you wanna definitely click yes, because you do want to have networks on that. It will start up with this. I will explain this later. Let me just show a few things. Right click the taskbar and go to Task Manager. Click More Details and go to Performance, and what you will notice is that our RAM usage is at 1.2 gigs. Compare this to around 3 or 4 gigs of RAM being used on the regular Windows. Now I gave it 2 cores to this virtual machine, so it won't be as fast, but it will be definitely faster than a single core, so that's a good thing. Again, you wanna take down and show this message. We do not need this. So with all of this set up, what we should do is check for system updates. So before you do anything, you want to go to your local server. So click that. And here is where all the magic will be happening, pretty much in this entire window. So what I would do normally is I would go over here and go to Windows Update to install Windows Update automatically. So click that. It will open up with Windows Settings, and you want to click Check for Updates, and it's going to automatically start downloading and installing all the updates. Now, on my system it took really long to do so, so I'm going to sit here and wait for all of this to download and install again, so you guys don't have to. In the meantime, we can actually check our IP. So to check our IP, you want to click this search and type in CMD. Come on. If it doesn't come up, just hit enter and it should come up with the command prompt, which it did, but you know. And in the command prompt, you type in IP config. What this will do, this will tell you your IP address. And by linking it, my IP is this. Bear in mind, this is just for the virtual machine, so it will be removed later on, so you guys won't get a chance to get into my network later on. Just saying. So that's the IP of our server. That will be important for later. So I'm going to sit through this, let it install everything. or I don't even have to, because I've set it up the exact same way over on the second VM where I actually plan on showing you those things. So we can sit here if we want to, but I just want to show the installation portion. Let this update and you should be good to go. So now I'm going to go over to my main Randy server. It's set up the exact same way. I already went through the updates and made some basic changes, but I will show you those changes as well, so you guys don't complain that I didn't show everything. So after the install and doing all the updates, the only thing I did differently on this VM is I installed the VirtualBox guest editions just so I can have the full display scaling. You don't have to do this, but since this is a VM, I figured it will be prettier for me to set it up this way. Let me just try something. So host F is for full screen. And of course you cannot see me. So that is indeed a bummer. So I'm gonna have to run it like this. Again, this will take some time to load, so just bear with me. And I will show you all the settings and stuff that I changed in order to get it to be at the stage where it is. I haven't done anything else past a certain point. I will tell you what I did until a certain point. You will know. So you guys don't complain that I skipped some steps. I will go through all of these with you. Okay, there we go, we're loading up, and again we're going to input, keyboard, and Control-Alt-Delete. And under administrator, I'll type in the password. You might have noticed that this VM is slightly faster than the other one. That's because I already installed the VirtualBox guest editions and stuff, so that's why it's faster. And we should be good to go. So, I'm going to wait. It should pop up with the server manager utility. It will start up every single time once you start your server. Click cancel on this and it showed up with something related to the network. I did not click it. I hope it wasn't needed. Oh well. We can still search for CMD though. Again, we can check if we have an IP and stuff. We can try and ping to Google to make sure we have internet. So that's another thing you should do. So obviously I'll do IP config. So we do have an IP. And what I'll do ping google.com. And indeed we do have internet connection, so that's good. So in here you want to go into your local server. And what you want to do is you want to, let it load obviously with all the information about your server. And what you want to do is you want to check for system updates. So click over here and it will bring up the settings window. And you want to install all the updates. Now I have all the updates already installed. There was a problem with installing this one. It's not important. So far I installed all the major ones. And with that out of the way, we should now set up our time zone. To set up your time zone, I already have it set it up, but basically what you do, click on this, whatever it says right here. And you want to go over to the time zone section and click change time zone. Once you click change time zone, find your time zone here. For me, it's Bratislava, Budapest, Ljubljana, and Prague, which is the UTC +1. Automatically just for them, you can leave it as it is and click OK. And click OK. This is now your time zone set. Next we need to set a static IP. To do so, you need to go over here to the section where it says Ethernet and click IPv4 address assigned by DHCP. So you click that, then you go over here, you right click it and go to properties. Wait for it to load, select Internet Protocol version 4 TCP/IP and select properties. Now I haven't done this, I'll do this with you. So in terms of our IP, we're gonna set a static one. For example, we can reuse the same one we used before from our command prompt. We can actually use all the information we already had with the ipconfig command. So whatever it gives you with this command, you want to type in as it says. That will make it easier for us to set it up, because we do not have to figure this stuff out manually. Oh crap, accidentally hit it, so we wanna have it show up no matter what we do. There we go. And for me it's 10.10.0.114. Subnet mask is 255, and 0. And my default gateway is, you can read this from here. Hopefully this made sense to you. And I'm gonna type in the default gateway, which is 10.10.0.1, and that's it. We're going to leave it as it is, and we're going to click OK. And we're gonna click close. With that, we have a static IP set. Again, we can go to properties and check it. By double clicking this, we have a static IP set. It didn't go away. So now we're over here, and what you want to do is you want to click this reload button, and there we go. We can see our IP that we've defined, which is for me 10.10.0.114, and you could disable IPv6, but I'm leaving it enabled just in case. Next up, you want to set up remote desktop, so go over here, it says remote desktop, and click over here on the disabled. Click allow remote connections, click OK, click apply, and click OK. Now if you refresh it, you'll notice that it should say enabled, which it does. It is important to set this up so you can remote into it, so you don't have to be physically at the server itself. Next, we're going to give a name to the server, so you can see we have a computer name over here, which is this stupidly complicated thing. So you want to click on it, and you want to click here change, and then you want to give it a name. Now I would suggest that you give it the WS, which is for Windows Server, actually all caps, so WS 2K19, which is for Windows Server 2019, then dash, and DC01. DC01 is for Domain Controller 1. It will make sense once we continue with the configuration. I'm gonna click OK. You can set a custom domain if you want, but I'm gonna leave it as the regular workgroup for now, and click OK. And it says we need to restart in order for it to apply the changes. So we're going to restart it. There we go, we're in it again. So we want to go into input, keyboard, and Control Delete. Type in the password. And we should be in our environment, which we are, and it's kind of screwed up, so let me fix that by forcing it to readjust. There we go, it took a while. There we go, we're back, and you want to go into the local server section again, and what you should see is a new computer name, which indeed we do have. We're part of the work group, we have remote desktop enabled, a static IP set, and our time zone is set, and we pretty much have all the updates pretty much. So now what? Now we need to set up Active Directory and DNS. So we need to go into, I think it was manage. Yeah, so we're gonna go to manage, and then you wanna go to add roles and features. And over here as well, show you this stuff. So you wanna make sure that you have the administrator account, which we have. Then we have a static IP configured, which we also have. And then we have the most recent updates installed, which we technically do, but it should be okay. Let's click next. Here you wanna select role-based or feature-based installation. Yep, that's it. So I'll click next. In here, I would recommend you select the regular server from the server pool, which as you can see is our server, so VS2K19-DC01. So I click next. And in here, what you wanna select is Active Directory Domain Services. So Active Directory Domain Services. So this one, once you tick it, will show up with this window, and you want to click Add Features. Also make sure that this is ticked. The Include Management Tools, if applicable, and click Add Features. While we're in here, we can actually enable our DNS server, so we'll not tick that. Again, Include Management Tools if applicable, and click Add Features. And after this, we're going to click next. Now we now have these features, and we can ignore this. We can click next, 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 and here it comes up with this window. You can restart the destination server automatically if required, but we're not gonna do that because this is our server that we're installing it to. So what you want to do is you want to click install, and this is going to install all the things to our server. While this is installing, we can actually, well, I won't show this now, but actually I think I can. I mentioned that we're going to need to set up our second drive, and we didn't do that yet. So what you can do is you can click the search button and type in computer management. You want to open that up. It's going to take a while to bring up the window, so be patient. Patience is key, so wait it out. Go to disk management. And we do not have it mounted. Why? We should have it mounted. That's weird. I mean, it's not like we need it, but it would be nice if we could mount it somehow. Oh, we do not have it in here, that's why. Totally forgot to set it up. So that's my bad, I didn't set it up. Once this is done, we will set... We don't actually need it for now. This is just to show you guys how we can set it up. But yeah, it's currently loading up with everything. I'm actually going to pause this. Can I pause it? Yes, I can save the virtual machine state. It will obviously take longer to do, but I don't mind as long as I get to... Actually, no, we don't want this. Can I do changes to it now, or do I have to turn it off? I think I have to turn it off. God damn it. So let's load it up back. Wasn't important. Alright, we're back. It's still installing. I just realized that we don't have our second drive mounted, because we do not have one at all. So that was an oopsie on my part. Sorry about that. it's fine, we can use just the regular drive that's inside of this one, at least for now. So as this gets complete, I'm going to show you can add another like disk. If you're doing this in a VM, I will share how you can add it. If you're not using a VM to set up this, you should already have your drive in it, so you can pretty much skip a bit forward. There we go, it's done, it succeeded. There we go, it showed up with a few more options over here, which means that we should be able to close it. Yes. So we can click close. It says a bit of a warning. Yeah, so there's this button to promote a server to the domain controller. I did not click that. So you want to click that and it will promote it. Here you want to click add new forest. Give it the name. The name should be something you can remember. So for example, since this is Randy, let's say Randy for example. I'm gonna click next. DNS name, Active Directory. Oh, you need to have that. So let's say randy.local. Randy.local, let's click next, and it seems to be going along. There we go. Make sure to pick Windows Server 2016 on both of these, so leave it as it is and set a password. I'm going to set the exact same password I have for this server, so... Oops. Mistyped it. But that's fine. Once it lets you continue, click next. And you want to do what next? You can just click next, and there we go. Let's just wait for it to do its thing. It shouldn't take long. Okay, it says Randy. You can leave it as Randy, or based on what you typed in it will change, but I'm gonna leave it as Randy. The net BIOS name is pretty much how it will show up on your network. These are the database folders. You can click next. This is then the overview. You can read through this if you want, but it's not necessary. Let's click next. And we should... Okay, it's verifying the prerequisites for the domain controller, and once the green check appears, it seems like we are good to go. Yes, we're ready to start the install. So you want to click install, and it's going to start the installation process. So you just want to wait through this until this gets installed. There we go, it's creating everything that we need. It's not important to add the secondary drive, so you can like look it up later, or we will add it pretty much before we will need it. So it's not needed now, we can just keep on going as we need to. So, come on buddy. Okay, it's securing the machine, it's getting some drivers and stuff, and there we go, it says that it's been successful. It says I'm about to be signed out, so you want to click close, and it should sign me off automatically. I say should, but I'm not really sure if it will. There we go, it's signing me off. It's saying it's restarting, that's fine, let it reboot. There we go, it's rebooting. Oh no way, so we're back, and what we want to do is again input, keyboard, and Control-Delete, and there we go, and you can see the name change. Now the name change says Randy at the administrator account, and we have the other user here. Pretty much what this is pretty much a verification for us that these settings have worked, and that we now have that our server has now been set up as a domain controller. So we're going to log in using our standard password that hasn't changed. You can still use it as you would use it normally. There you go. I'm just gonna, oops. I'm just gonna, you know, force it to scale. Come on, buddy. Come on. It takes a while to pick up, so if it doesn't, I'll just roll along with it. Oh, there we go. There it goes. So now what you want to go to your local server. Ignore the red marks, that's fine. And there we go. As you can see, our domain is now randy.local, so the domain change has worked. So what we need to do now is we should be able to see a bit of a change in our like server manager tools. So we're gonna go to tools, and you should see these Active Directory things. So what you wanna do, you wanna go to Active Directory, users, and computers. I think that's what you wanna do. Yes. Wait for it to load, obviously. Then, then select this local thing, right click it, and you want to select properties. And what we should see, these are the properties of our domain. We should see what functional level for our domain is, which is Windows Server 2016, and what our Windows and what our forest functional level is, and it's Windows Server 2016, and by who it's managed by no one, so that's fine. So next we go back into the server manager, go to tools, and now we're going to set up our DNS. So we want to go into DNS, and here you want to double click on the server, and it's going to pop up with all of these things. You want to click this arrow down here and click this arrow down here for our forward lookup zones. Now what you see here is we have these things right here under Randy local and such, and what you wanna do is, yeah, you wanna double click on Randy local, or just click it once and it will show up this window, and in here you'll see that our server here, our server has a static IP of 10.10.0.114, host A, and it's the VS2K19-DC01. So now double click this, and what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that you tick this, which is update associated pointer or PTR record, and you want to apply it, and you want to click OK, and you want to click OK. So yeah, so with this you want to I think it was in the reverse. Is there something we have to do in the reverse section? I think I skipped over something. Yeah, then click our reverse, right click the, oh yeah, we need to, I guess, make a new zone here, or just click refresh. No, so let's create a new zone in here. Forgot about this one. And I want to click next. I want to set as a primary zone and store the zone in Active Directory, obviously, to all DNS servers, so basically this one, and IPv4 release lookup zone, and network ID is pretty much the first three numbers of your IP. So for me it's 10 dot, oh crud, so 10.10.0, and you wanna click next, and you wanna leave it as it is to allow secure, and you should click finish. There we go, we have now our reverse lookup, and yeah. And now what you want to do is you want to click here in the empty zone and click refresh, and it says not signed. You'll actually go over here into the reverse lookup zone. Now right click and click reload. Click yes that you want to reload, and we should have it all set up now. So in order to test it, we're going to open up PowerShell. So I'll type in PowerShell. It should be called Windows PowerShell. And now you want to run a specific command. The command you want to run is nslookup. So nslookup. Okay. DNS request timed out. Server is unknown. Simple reason. You want to go into your search and type in network. Basically go into your control panel. Change it from category to small icons. And you want to go into network and sharing. And you want to go into here, Ethernet. Want to go into properties. Select the IPv4 by double clicking, and you will notice that our IP has changed to this. Now what you want to do is you want to change the IP to the IP of your server. So type in, for me it's 10.0.114, and you wanna add here a supplementary one if you really want to. I'm gonna leave it blank right now. So the preferred one should be the IP address of your server, which is for me 10.10.0.114. So it should be the same over here. Click OK. Or maybe it's because of me having IPv6 enabled. I don't think that it is. So let me just disable IPv6. Let's just disable it. Let's refresh it. We shouldn't have IPv6 enabled. We don't. So let me try this section again with PowerShell. Maybe it wasn't working because of IPv6. So let's do nslookup. Oh crap. nslookup, and yeah, there we go. It now works. So you should disable IPv6. So now it will work both ways. So if I type in our IP, which was 10.10.0.114, we do get it both back. So make sure you disable IPv6. I did not realize it. So it's working both of the ways now. We can actually do randy.local, and we get the same result for our server and what the name is. So that's good. So make sure you disable IPv6. Did not think of that. So now we're going to set up our organizational unit with our users and our groups on Active Directory. So go to Tools, and you want to select Active Directory, Users, and Computers. In here you have this randy.local thing. You want to right click, go New, and you want to select Organizational Unit. What I'm going to give it is I'm going to give it a name. So to create our first, so we're gonna first create our organizational unit. So I'm going to name it OU for our organizational unit. And once in here, you want to go into these top ones. So what you want to do is you want to select the create a new organizational unit in the current container, which is sort of this folder right here. So click that, and you should see this path. So create in, for me it's randy.local. So basically your name.local and OU, and here when I give it a name. So for example, I'm going to create two of those. The first one we're going to say HQ for headquarters, for example. When I click over here, select this again, and the second one will be tech, all caps. After this, we should have two of these set up, and then you want to right click tech, create new and user. Here we're going to give him a name. So the first name will be since we already have Randy, let's say Stan. Stan tech, for example, and user logon will be Stan tech add Randy the local. Click next. Give him a password. This is important to set up, so it's really easy to do. So let's say we give him the exact same password I give to the server. It's better practice to make sure that it complies with your company's password policies, so you don't actually violate any policies while doing so. So I'm going to give him a super simple password like 1234. Same goes over here. I don't think it's gonna let me do it though. It lets me do it, and the user will basically have to change his password later on. So click finish. It says the password can't be set like that, so we need to give him a stronger one. So I'm going to use the same one I used for the server. Again, it's not suggested. You may want to change this based on, for example, their surname, their date of birth and such, to make it more complicated. This, as you can see, we now have Stan Tech. So we have this user in here, but we also want to create a group. So in here, when I right click tech again, create new, and we're going to create new, and you want to select group. And the group, since it's the Randy group, for example, Randy Media Group, for example, so we're going to title it Randy Media Group, for example, Randy Media Group. Don't really care. Leave it as it is. Click continue or OK, and we now have these two. Now what we have to do is we have to add our user to the group. So there are multiple ways you can do this. You can right click and can click add to group, and then you click advanced, find now, and find the group that you want to add him to. And for me it's this Randy Media Group. You can also check the location, which checks out. It's Randy the local OU tech, which is where we have it, so that's that, and click OK, and the user has been successfully added to the group. There's another way you can do this. You can double click this, and when I go to members, click add, and you will then have to find your user, for example Stan Tech. You would click OK, and you would have to add him like this. Since he's already in there, it threw me an error, but he's already in there, so that's fine. So now the only thing left is to set up our SMB, which is our shared folder. Now I should have mentioned this before, but I'm not going to able to show you if the SMB works or not. But this was important, so now we have this new tab in here, and it's file and storage services. Click over here. You'll see all of this stuff over here. We're gonna go into shares. It takes a while to load, just be patient. And we have these two already created by default. That's fine. But what you want to do instead is you want to go to tasks, and you want to create a new share. And what's in your new share? These are pretty much based on varying levels of tweaking and accessibility. I'm going to pick the quick one because it's easy enough to set up. Next is our location. Now here you could select your secondary volume, but since I goofed up and didn't add one, we have only this drive to add. But if, let's say, we do not have a secondary hard drive and we want to add a specialized folder for them, so we can do that. We can set a custom path and click browse, and in here we can create this, click this new folder, and I will title it SMB share Randy Media Group. There we go, SMB share RMG. Select folder, and it's in. When I click next, you can leave it as it is, give it a description, and this is the remote path for our server, for the path. Click next. Now this is important. You want to make sure you enable access based enumeration. This pretty much lets us manage who has the access to these files or not. I am going to leave it on, but again, it's up to you. Click next, and what you want to see is that everyone has permissions to join the share. Normally in an environment you would make sure that only a certain group of people have access to it, but since this is just a simpler version, we're gonna leave it as it is. So click next, and it's been all set up, so we should be good to go. So let's click create, and it's been completed successfully. Click close, and here we have our new share. You can open the share if you want to, have a look at it. You can also see where it's located, and one really neat thing is that this is a SMB share. Again, you will have to trust me on this one that it will work. In fact, that's our share created, it's on the network, it's a new share that hasn't been there before. We can actually create a new text document like this is a test, and if we check the properties, we should see that it doesn't have a big amount of size. In fact, if we have a look, we have that our space is only 4.7% used, and we have around 243 gigs of free space. We can go to the overview of our volumes, checking if everything's intact. So this is our main system, and here is our share on it. It uses the SMB protocol, is the SMB share RMG for Randy Media Group, for example, and we have 256 gigs allocated, and that's the entire drive. You can also splice it up a bit more if you want to, but you can also have a look at the disks, how it's been set up, but you can also have a look at the storage pools. It's a really powerful tool, and that's pretty much all I wanted to set up. The only important one is this one, obviously. Everything is working. Obviously I have to change some more things that I did. I'm going to edit this video now. I hope this helped all of you, and we set up everything. We are running even on lower amounts of RAM now. So let's see, we are running on literally the bleeding edge. 2 gigs of RAM, 1.5 gigs being used, so even on 2 gigs of RAM it will run, which is amazing. So yeah. So we just added our user store group, and we have set it up. We have set up our domain. We have updated everything, and that's pretty much all of it. Nothing else has been done or changed. So I hope to see all of you beautiful people hopefully in the next video. Bye.